Morning. I want to give an update on something I originally published here on this channel on February 12th, and that has to do with the sting a couple weeks earlier in nearby Fairfax County, the same county in which I was caught in a sting as well, and under the same shady circumstances. So, what's interesting about this sting is that maybe the most interesting thing is that it was reported by a Major Menendez or Melendez who doesn't appear anywhere in the command structure online. Maybe she's new, maybe she didn't have a picture in there. But that's really the most interesting thing. The other items are the same things that we see all the time, which is they always seem to conflate statistics. They talk about online activity. They never explain exactly what police do. They simply say, and you're supposed to take it on their word, that these people were on adult dating sites looking for children. And of course, it raises red flags because we know over and over and over again, police begin the conversation. They're the first ones to approach. They do not identify themselves as a minor. So if you are trying to get people harming minors, you might pretend immediately to be a minor. But what they do is they pretend to be an adult. And they pretend to be an adult after maybe 100 messages, they'll switch to claiming to be a child. Now, why would you do this on a platform where you have a lot of fetishism, where you have sexual role play, where you have basically a lot of shit talked, where you have people who lie about their age and fake their height and weight and all this other stuff? Why would you do something like that? Where you have fetishists, and on top of that, you have vulnerable people. You have people just coming off of divorce. You have people who are autistic, intellectually disabled, people who are in a very vulnerable state. Why would you be playing this game there, claiming that what you're really after is child predation? And police over and over again make absolutely no distinctions in their arrest. They never try to sort it out. They're supposed to serve the public interest, but what they do is they end up being on there simply to gin up their statistics. Because another distressing fact is that they make a lot of money based on federal grants, and that money will not continue if they don't say that they're making some kind of progress in this, that they have um, that the problem is getting worse, which of course begs the question. Apparently, what you're doing with these grants is not helping. So they're sort of caught in this loop where they have to continue to do this. And it's also cheaper, easier, faster to net people instead of going where real child predators do, who are very clever, they're very sophisticated with technology, they're on the deep in the dark web, they're in diplomatic settings. Frankly, they're in homes, right? It's going on in average and ordinary people's homes. And sometimes, this is happening willingly with children, sometimes not willingly. You know, I've talked to a number of people around the world who are young gay kids who said, yeah, I welcomed it. I talked to people who said, no, I didn't want to. I published some of their stories on this site, okay, including two victims recently, one who was a victim of trafficking who excoriated me saying I didn't know what I was talking about, and another one who said I knew exactly what I was talking about. So you don't know really what you're going to get, and there's a lot of damaged people out there. So again, why aren't police really helping children? To make it worse, we have the case of Carlos Rodriguez out in Washington state and other places that refuse to investigate real children in danger, refuse to follow up on tips where real kids are being exploited because it's so much more lucrative for them to go after the cases where ICAC is peddling kids and fake cases because the statistics are greater. They get more attention on these cases. So, in this recent sting, I asked the questions that we keep finding out. And I sent a letter, an email to the chief's office, because that's where the public information office is located out of the chief of police. And I asked questions like this: what platforms were the stings on? Did they initiate the police? Did they initiate the conversation? Did they ask? At what point did they switch to being a child, if that was the case? how many child victims they actually rescued, how they knew for certain that these people were looking for children, and a couple other questions I've forgotten just now. There were about 5 or 6 or 7 questions. Of course, I didn't get a response I didn't expect to, so I pressed further. I got a hold of somebody after about a week of playing tag back and forth, where they would give me one little nugget. I would say, "Who? How do I get a hold of somebody? What's the contact person? Oh, you can call this number. It's the generic number. What division do I talk to and who do I talk to? You can call major crimes. Fine. Who's the contact person at major crimes?" So I end up calling somebody, and I get um, a very nice young woman who sends me. She's, well, I can't send you to anybody's email or mailbox or give you anybody's phone number, but I will take a message for Lieutenant Dixon. New person, never heard of him. Lieutenant Dixon's in a meeting, he's going to call you back. Of course, Lieutenant, that was last Thursday. Lieutenant Dixon hasn't done a damn thing to call. And, you understand that police are busy. I understand that. At the same time, uh, as I identified myself and said that I was writing a book, because I am, and, I just want some simple answers to questions that never show up in any of these articles. These questions would really tell the public what it is the police are really doing and would raise some alarm bells. But of course, they're not going to call me back. Um, it's interesting that they want the public's buy-in. They want you to believe that there are all these scary people out there that they're rounding up. People like me who had no predisposition ever and did not do anything to any child, um, and who have no children ever coming forth saying anything. That is the story of a lot of these people on these sites, and they don't seem to be interested in that story at all. Finally, I've been attacked by a new aggressive troll, Randy Reagan, who started out being, fairly moderate, but increasingly did what they always do, which is to show their true colors. They go on here and they say, well, you're not answering any of my questions to my satisfaction, and I don't believe you, and no human being would act like you acted, and all this other stuff. And they end up um, basically asking for fairness and asking for the quote other side, and which is they want you to show everything that you have, all the evidence and everything, which um, for various reasons I've talked about, doesn't really make sense to put all on here. But I've agreed to meet with these people and show them what they want to see, all the chat logs. Some of these logs are not mine to give, some are mine. Um, some are conflated with other things, and I explain how they do it. I read from the chat logs. Now that's good enough for these folks. What's even worse is they want fairness, they want to see the other side, but they never ever ask about what the police are doing. When you show them independent works from scholars who study this issue, who say that there's a real problem in these things, they never read those articles. They're long, they're weighty, you have to spend some time, and they don't want to do that. I've directed them to these two people who have opinions who are formerly trafficked. They don't want to read those either. They keep attacking you personally. Ad hominem attacks, they're called, where they make fun of how I look or what I say, my mannerisms, anything they can. But what they don't do is ever really consider the point of the channel, which is to give that other side. The police and the legal establishment have the playing field. The rest of us do not. So I tell the stories of the people who are disenfranchised, and they're not really interested in those stories. They're also not interested in looking at what the police are doing and analyzing that and saying, well, maybe there would be something to that. And all I ask is for them to do that. And of course, that's a bridge too far for them. So I wanted to update you a little bit on what we've been doing too. The final update is this Randy Reagan did give or Reagan, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, spelled just like the late president's name. Um, I did pull the last poorly done episode, which I was rushing before work, and I will revisit that one. The problem is some of the pictures are, well, let's just say sexually explicit, and I can't put them on here. I tried putting them a little bit more raw on here, and YouTube flagged it. So I've got to figure out a way I can do it, which still gets the point across, which is that these are pictures that are of adults, and they, in many cases, are claiming to be adults. In some cases, not the one I just pulled down, but in other cases, they will change the age. The one I put up in episode 4, he never said anything about it being a different age. But the police still tried to use that against me. They still tried to turn around and say that this was actually a minor. When that didn't work, they conflated the sexually charged conversations with the non sexually charged conversations in the persona to claim that they were the same, and they were very successful with that. Of course, they're not the same, and I've shown two different sets of pictures to show that they're not the same person at all. But in any event, this is the type of thing police do. They play these games to destroy lives. And it's very harsh. It sounds rude. It sounds wrong. But that's what they're doing. They're trying to gin up statistics. And again, I keep hearing from the trolls on here who have all the answers. They figured it all out. They forget that there are constitutional principles that the police are supposed to go by. They forget, because they haven't done our research, that you have to indicate that you had some kind of prior interest in children for them to make this claim. You have to have that out there, but they don't. They don't do any of that. So unfortunately, that's where we're left with. We're left with fighting this battle. Um, and it doesn't look like it will end soon, but I did say that there's some encouraging signs in Utah, North Dakota, Washington State, Supreme Court decisions, at least about the registry, and 4 or 5 other states saying that there shouldn't be a lifetime registry. So there, it is starting to change. And when good people of good minds who really want to know what's going on, when they get involved and you're telling them these things face to face, very often they agree with you. And more people are being caught up in these things. And so word is getting out. Please like and subscribe if you like some of the things we're doing on this channel. If you have suggestions on how we can improve, happy to hear them. And you have a good day.